Hello, Sid Roth here with Deborei, and Deborah was trampled on, crushed by a 1,200-pound horse, and over a period of time she recovered except for her vision. She had both corneas crushed. She had surgery in one eye, cornea replacement, puts on a contact lens, and can see well enough to get around with one eye. She goes to Africa. There's a man that prays for the sick. He prays for her. Nothing happens. She's just grateful to God that she's alive, but she still cannot see any better. She goes to church the next morning. And tell me what you saw with your eyes, Deborah.
I saw a lot of angelic activity. I saw angels moving different places, doing different activities, coming up and down the aisles, going up to people, individual people, and doing certain things. And then I saw the demonic realm kind of peering in and looking on to see what was happening. And this went on for about 2.5 hours. It was
2.5 hours? You
Yes.
could actually, it's like the veil came off, and you could see what's going on in the invisible.
It was like going to the movies, and you could just see everything that was happening. So of course I was a little bit upset. I thought, what is this? And I realized that it was just a gift from the Lord, that instead of getting natural vision, the Lord said, no, you can wait for that. And I do still believe in healing in the natural vision. But the Lord said, for right now, I'm going to give you clear spiritual vision.
Okay, so you leave the church after this 2.5 hour having the spiritual scales come off of your
Right.
eyes, and did it continue when you left the building?
It did. It
Tell me
continued.
about
It continued, and I was looking in the city that I was ministering in Africa, and they ride a lot of motorbikes there, and I could see angels and or demons riding with the people on the motorbikes, and it was just almost overwhelming. It got to the point where I just closed my eyes and I said, Lord, I don't know if I can do this, see all this in the spirit and still see in the natural. So the Lord, over a period of time, taught me how to manage both sights at the same time. My less than perfect physical vision, and then the spiritual vision that's fairly clear.
How does God use you with this gift to help other people? In what ways? Or give me an exact example.
Okay, well, just recently I was in California ministering, and I was standing in the back of the building, and I could see a woman directly in front of me, and she had her hands on her head, and her head was in her lap, and her husband was just stroking her jacket. And the Lord said to me, that woman has a terrible migraine headache, but it's an attack of the enemy, and he doesn't want her to hear what's going to be spoken today. So I said, okay, Lord, what would you have me do? Would you have me do anything? And he said, start interceding and praying for her. So I did, and then I saw an angel come down the aisle, and he was carrying a pitcher, and he walked over to her, and he just poured kind of a oily, watery substance on her that I've seen before, an anointing, and he poured that on her, and within about 30 seconds she just sat straight up in her chair, and she looked, and she was totally involved in the rest of the service and felt great. I could tell. I never went up and asked her about it or told her about it because the Lord didn't say I should, but I can see things like that happening, and then I can release that angel to go ahead and minister to her.
You told me that if you press into God, you can see the heart of someone, and many times find the root that allows the in spirit of infirmity to hold on to that person.
Yes.
What do you really see?
Well, I've seen everything from a heart that has a great big gash out of it, as if it were totally wounded. I've seen a heart that has a wound, but that wound is open and it's not healing. I've seen where people put Band-Aids on their own hearts and they try to heal themselves. And I've seen hearts that are totally blackened just by sin and the oppression of the enemy. So I've seen all different kinds of hearts.
Now, you think that's something? She's sitting in a congregation, and a man sits next to her. He wasn't supposed to be there, and then he tells you something. What did he tell you?
Well, I was really busy because I was getting ready to minister, and I was going to go up and minister on the stage, and so I was not paying attention to this gentleman, but he looked at me and he said, you can go anywhere in the heavenlies you want. And so I kind of ignored him a little. I said thank you, and I kept doing what I was doing, preparing for my own speaking engagement. And then right before I got up, he said to me again, he looked me right in the eyes and he said, anywhere in the heavenlies you want to go, you can go at any time. And I said, okay, and I felt that he was an angel, that he had just taken on human form for that moment. So I grabbed my daughter and I said, take a picture of me and this person. Then after the service, I went around and tried to find that gentleman, and he was nowhere to be seen. And
do you believe he was an angel?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm sure he was an angel
Yes.
too. But better question than that is, I assume you have been to heaven.
Yes.
What's it like? Does it take? Is it a long trip? How long does it take you to get there?
It's the blink of an eye, and maybe it's a long trip in human terms, but it's the blink of an eye. You walk into the heavenly places. There's not a dimension or a time in heaven, so you can just walk into the heavenly places. But there are definite places in heaven. There's a throne room. There's a tabernacle.
Tell me your two favorite things you do when you go to heaven.
Well, my favorite thing to do is I go in and pray with Jesus, because that's what Jesus has been doing for the last 2,000 years. He's up there praying for us and praying for the earth. So I go in and I say, I'd like to pray with you, in the same way you would go in and pray with anyone.
And so you pray for people on earth from heaven, just like Jesus is doing.
I pray with him.
What's the second thing you
And
love?
the second thing is I like to walk on the sea of glass.
You like to? Why do you like it?
It's just a very peaceful, very joyful place. Heaven is a place where everyone's busy. The angels are all very busy. They all have tasks and duties, and people come and go in there for their own, whatever God's reason is.
Is there anything unusual going on in heaven at this moment? Does it look like things are speeding up?
Definitely the time frame is speeding up, and definitely more things are being revealed now than I believe have ever been revealed in the past.
You know what intrigues me? Sometimes you'll be in a congregation praying and you'll see angels come, you told me, with gifts. Explain that.
Yes, they'll come with gifts. Sometimes they're actually packaged like presents, and
sort of like our one new man kit?
Yes, like that, just like that. And sometimes it'll be a sword, or it'll be a weapon of some kind, or it'll be a mantle, a coat, or a crown. And the angels will come ready to deliver that from the Father to a specific person. And the person in authority over that meeting then releases the angels and says, okay, go ahead. And the angel will then give it to the person. Or sometimes the angel actually has given it to me, and then I've given it to the person.
That just sounds so phenomenal, but I believe that you're a forerunner of what is going to be happening. And these one new man house congregations,
Yes.
I believe, are going to be loaded with angelic activity.
I think everyone is supposed to do this.
Would you pray for everyone to get hungry and to press in right now?
Yes.
Pray for them so that they can move in these realms?
Yes, I would.